Welcome to Pots, Pans, and Pioneers. Today I'm going to be making pesto, pesto sauce, and I'm probably going to be canning it at the end of this video, more than likely. I'm going to see how much this plant will yield. It's pretty big, full of basil, and it's got a lot of leaves on it. I'm going to try to trim it all back and harvest all the leaves off of it and make some pesto. While we're out here, I'm going to check on my other vegetables. I'm growing a very small, tiny garden this year. Not a lot of anything, just because we're getting ready to sell our house and everything's kind of busy. So I'll take you over and show you my tomato and carrots and a few other things. This is my oregano raised bed, and it's got a lot of oregano in it. It's got a few flowers that accidentally got planted in here, but it hasn't really changed the taste of it or done anything differently to it. So I harvest oregano here when I need it, and I'm going to keep this around so it comes back every year. Okay, here are my tomato plants, and you see a few little cabbages that are trying really hard. It's really hot here in Texas. I keep these under the shade most of all day, and I've got two large ones. I've got flowers on them everywhere, but there's just no tomatoes. And I don't anticipate seeing tomatoes because I understand they don't like to bloom in the heat. So, and I've got a little bit of dry, but these get a lot of water every morning. But as you can see, the Texas sun just beats them to death. And then I have a few more down here in this raised bed. And these were really tiny not too long ago, so maybe they're going to survive. And this is my little urban garden. And again, these cabbages probably won't make it. I think this is a potato in there somewhere, but there's a little cabbage there and a cabbage there. So, all right, let's go make some pesto. Okay, I have harvested all of the basil off of my basil tree, and I'm going to sort through the leaves and make sure and get off all the bad leaves. I'm going to wash all the leaves really well before we start the pesto, so we'll be back. Okay, I've got all my basil picked off of the stems, and it's just a huge bowl of basil, and I've tried to remove most of all of the stems, because if you have too many of the stems, it really makes your pesto bitter, and you're not looking for bitter, you're looking for sweet basil. So I'm going to post the small version of this recipe up on my blog, and you can go there and print it. If you want a bigger batch to do what I'm going to do, which is can pesto sauce, then you can double and triple your recipe. It's super easy, but I'm just going to do the small recipe just to show you you know, how much it yields, this one recipe yields, and then I can do the rest of my pesto once the camera goes off. So what you're going to need is 3 cups of basil. So what we'll do is we'll get our measuring cup. This is a 4-cup measure, and I'm just going to press the basil down just like that. Get some light on in here so you can see me. And I'm just going to, you know, press it down as much as you can. And any bad leaves that I missed, just grab them out. I see a stem in here I missed, so see there's a little stem. So these are all the little baby leaves. I'm just gonna, these are the sweetest of the sweet, the little ones on the stem. So I'm gonna remove that stem. Okay, a few more. And I love pesto. I like it cold, and I even like it warm. I've even had a pesto lasagna with, you know, a little bit of pesto. A little bit goes a long way, so you don't want to overwhelm a dish. But I always like to have this in my pantry. It just really is an easy pasta dish. You can use it for hors d'oeuvres or anything like that, for little party appetizers, and it's just great to have pesto in your pantry. So I have a Vitamix here, and move the camera around. Let's see if I can position the camera. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to take my 3 cups of basil and pour it into the Vitamix. As you can see, it goes almost to the top. And I'm going to take the next thing we're going to need is going to be 3 cloves of garlic. Now I've got minced garlic, so I'm just going to gauge it, eyeball it, but that's the recipe, is 3 cloves of garlic. And for me, for minced, it's like 1 tablespoon of garlic. So I'm going to use that measurement. And then the next ingredient is one that I would think is very, is very inexpensive, but it certainly is going to make your pesto taste really well, and that is raw pine nuts. And I got these at Sprouts. You can buy pine nuts by the pound, but they're very expensive, and these were just the little 2 ounces or a half a cup of pine nuts. And what I'm going to do is pour those 2 ounces in here. You can use walnuts as well. Let me find something to open these with. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some majority of the pine nuts in here. And that you can do that just to taste. And then we're going to need a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. And this is just shredded, Parmesan cheese from, I just get it from Whole Foods. So we'll get a half a cup of that in there. All right. We're going to get a half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Just a little bit of salt in there. And you want to use about a half a cup of olive oil. And I'm just using this organic Sprouts version of the olive oil. And this is the extra virgin. And we'll use this half a cup. Approximates, I always really try to stay away from exacts, because unless you're baking, exacts are really for just baking. Baking is a science, and so you need exact measurements. But when you're, being a home cook or cooking, you do most everything to taste, in my opinion. So I'm going to pour the olive oil over the basil, and this is going to be really thick, so just an FYI on that. And we're going to get this to go all the way. We're going to make sure that the pine nuts are finally done, and it's noisy, so I'm going to cut off the camera while it starts up. So, wow. So you can see that this really, all the basil left, and it's all purified now. And we're going to pour these into some really cute little jars. And they're just little jelly jars. And we're going to can these. And this is just wonderful, you know, pesto sauce for, you know, to keep it in your pantry. When you need a pasta sauce, you can toss this with pasta, even a little Italian dressing, and you have a beautiful pasta to serve. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I'm going to get my jars ready and go ahead and finish these up for canning. But I hope you'll join us next time, and we'll see you in the next video. Everybody have a blessed day.